And this will be kind of an area out in the boonies for a little bit. But we might need one. We might need the extra production area or something like that. So let's go make this. Make it work. Make it work, guys. Let's get our roadblock set up right there. And this road is, I mean, you can see how just ridiculously long this whole thing is to get out and over here. Like, there's no other way to get over here. So, whatever is over here needs to stay over here. And what we're going to do is we're going to build more farms. And those farms, once they're done harvesting, can run across the city and do whatever they need to. That's not a problem. Hello, Commander Dark Reaper. Yeah, the Ramses missions that we're on right now are pretty cool. Right now we are trying to build the gigantic tomb for Ramses himself. And we are very slowly doing that. Look at these guys.
I can't find a place to live.
Yeah, we'll open up more areas for you to live. No problem. So we got our trade going real well. And we basically, there's not enough room on some of these areas in the map, so we just had to slam all this stuff together, which has made very little, very crappy housing for these people, which is fine. Make a deal. Alright, so let's set this place up over here properly, that is. Czar, Temple to Ra, Firehouse, Architect of State Police Station, our Apothecary, and our Physician. What was that? River of Blood. Woe unto us! The waters, once the source of life and nourishment, are becoming red with blood. Ah, there it comes. Everything's fine. We're all fine here. There's nothing wrong with the water. Everything's great. Everything's totally fine. Just close your eyes when you drink it. Alright, this area over here should be getting set up nicely. So let's go ahead and get our farms rolling along. Alright, so we're going to need 2 roads. 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we'll do it like that. Alright, now we need our irrigation ditches. And our roads. There we go. And we're going to slow it down here so I can actually place all these things real quick. This giant river of blood. Everything's fine, guys. The food is safe to eat, and the water is completely safe to drink as well. I'm just going to irrigate it with blood. Shit. Disease strikes. Flooded clay pit. Oh, that's so stupid. These clay pits. I wish they didn't have those events. Like, a gold mine getting busted and other stuff. It's just like, come on. Like, there's no reason for it to happen other than it's just, oh, randomly. Alright. We'll get our roads running down here. And just like that. Excellent. This farm has no workers. Even weeds struggle to grow here. Man, farm sucks. Alright, so we will throw an architect post and a firehouse out here, and then we'll throw like maybe 4 work camps or something like that. That should be good enough. And we'll do the same over here. Alright, roadblocks. We need roadblocks. Do we have enough barley? Yeah, we got like plenty of frickin' barley. We just need more food. Let's just get more food. We can do it. We might as well. Got plenty of space, so we can be a little bit stupid with our spacing. Bam, 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 bam. No, we didn't make it. 3, 4. Alright, I think we might have made it. Might have got everything placed. We'll see. We'll have to see when the next... We're gonna just have blood, you know, go into all our crops, because that's always the best thing ever. Alright, well I'll have to take a look at that and see exactly how that works. I always assumed, you know, irrigation ditches have to be next to crops because, you know, irrigation ditches aren't really like roads. They're like channels of water, and channels of water don't like magically walk to the next house. They kind of, you know, act like water does. These guys are just, they don't have any food, do they? No, they've got food. Just a high risk for disease. Yeah, we'll just have a dude walking around the outside. I don't really okay. It's probably the whole river of blood thing. Well, as long as there's not going to be a frickin' plague, I think we'll be alright. Alright, so why are people moving out?
I can't find a place to live.
You can't find a place to live? Did we just like massively run out of food or something? Yeah, these guys don't have any food. So we just completely ran out of all the food in the city. Except the granaries have food. Except the granaries have food. What? It's probably that the goddamn scorpions out here murdered people. So why don't we just try to solve that by putting a bunch of police stations down. Fucking scorpions. You can't stop all of us. They're gonna murder everybody. They're gonna murder the people delivering your food. They're gonna murder you when you leave because you don't have any food. And you have to abandon your house. The scorpions are vicious bastards. They don't give two shits. Alright, so this guy is not being touched by any irrigation ditches. And it says this farmland is irrigated. Alright, so then that will work. Alright, so Pharaoh seeks to honor the deity. Pharaoh needs booze. Alright, Pharaoh. We've got 4,000 booze. It's on its way, sir. Alright, so they're going to start actually requesting stuff from us, is what it looks like. That's cool. And we are filling up on lamps, we're filling up on paint, we're getting more money, more and more money all the time. And we're going to have a good supply of beer, we're going to have a good supply of pottery, so we can really expand our population if we need to. These guys over here, I don't think we're going to buy pottery. We're not going to buy beer, linen, or any of this. This area is going to be kind of crappy. And we'll probably want to do the same thing with like this area. We're not going to need it to advance really that far at all. So let's just not worry about it. Alright, this area though will be the first to get entertainment because I decree that to be true. Alright, I am going to build a dance school. Can't build a dance school. A fire at the work camp, but there's a... Idiots. They're trying to spawn the job finding dude out into the fields, aren't they? Alright, what's our unemployment? 0%? Alright, Kingdom standing has gone up because Pharaoh got his booze on time. Alright, Pharaoh. Keep being awesome. Let's throw a pavilion out here next to these scorpions because, I mean, why not, right? Scorpions love entertainment. Why can't we build this here? It needs to be a little bit... Yeah, it needs to be over there. Alright, well, then we will. Yeah, that's what I was saying, Commander Dark Reaper. There, dude was popping out. And not on the right side. I get it. There are things I'm working on. I don't know. I'll be honest with you, Commander Dark Reaper. You give too much advice. All right, so we're making a ton of money. Let's make sure we got everything going on here. They'll buy grain, buy bricks. All right, we should open that up. And yeah, you should let me make some of those mistakes so I can do that. Let's see. So these guys will buy lamps. These guys will buy booze. Sell us oil. Awesome. All right, let's open them all up and let's get it going. So I think we're going to do real well. My concern is, I'm not sure if they're going to start throwing a whole bunch of... Yeah, okay, let me think about this. They did give us a little bit of a hint, didn't they? They actually have us with walls, but no towers. Recruiters in a fort, but only infantry and archers. They did say, though, that infantry would follow from the previous map. You know, your best infantry or whatever. Which makes me think I'm going to have to get weapons and everything else. So I think I'm going to need to import stuff. Alright, so does anybody have copper, and where is it? Let's see, no copper. Alright, these guys have copper, and that's a land trade route. Alright, excellent. Good. Then we'll just throw our soldiers over here, where we can do all of our business. So we'll get a storage yard, throw copper and weapons in it. Half and half, I believe. And we'll snag... We can't... Wait, there's no weaponsmith? Well, okay then, can we import weapons? We can import weapons. Alright, where are we going to import weapons from? Who's going to sell weapons? You guys are going to sell it over water. These guys will just sell figs and everything else. Yeah, it looks like... Oh, we're actually maxing these guys out with some of our stuff. Can we import flax? Doesn't look like it. We can't grow it, so that's toast. Alright, well, we'll import weapons over water, and that kind of totally screws this whole area. Let's just get rid of it. So if we're going to import weapons over water, we're going to import them pretty much right into here, so let's throw a storage yard for weapons here. Let's accept something else like beer or whatever. We're going to need our recruiter kind of closer to the weapons, so let's just make him right next to the weapons because we can. Import weapons. Import to maintain like 10 or something. Or reasonable, perhaps. And let's throw down 1,000 bricks for Pharaoh. He needs to... The city of Immerse requests that you send 1,000 bricks for a building project. Alright, cool. Well, Immerse, we have plenty of bricks. You have nothing to figure out? Well, we are not all so lucky. So let's see. We should get entertainment and all the rest, that's just true. And I am not happy with these frickin' scorpions murdering all my people over here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw a fort down with archers just over here because to hell with it. And they're the archers from previous. And I'm gonna throw another fort over here with infantry. Get out of the way, scorpions. Nobody likes you. Your life consists of computer games. Well, it's not a terrible life. My life consists of computer games pretty much as well. Look at all these guys, they have nowhere to go. But it's more on the making them side, and the engineering stuff, than playing them. Like, I used to play computer games all the time in like before the end of high school, before college, I was just playing just way too many computer games. But after college, or started and all that, I just sit there and play games literally all freaking day, every day. But after college started and then working and all that, in the games industry, you just get busy making stuff. you know, life happens. Alright, so we're getting stuff made. Let's see, do we need to help speed up this at all? And it's also, some people play games certain ways. Like, one of my friends in college, the way he played games was to, like, absolutely master them. You know, like, every little technical detail, every little blah blah blah. You know, he was awful to play games with because he'd be too good at something, or he wouldn't. You know, if something wasn't perfect or something, you know, he'd spend the whole time trying to fix it. And I usually just don't care about a lot of stuff, and I'm like, this worked. I'm good with it. That's not a problem anymore. So it really depends. People play them different ways. And I always found just relaxing and, you know, letting the scorpions chew on the archer. Because I think it's funny. Has always been my goal. Alright, we got tons of food moving around. Awesome. Can we export grain? Was that a thing we could do? Yeah, exportable. Well, we'll just take a look and see how much grain we actually have just kind of sitting around. All these people that are just all that. You've designed a couple games. Well, a lot of people, it's a lot of work actually making games. And a lot of people, like, out of college and stuff like that, people ask, you know, when I was in, you know, I've been in the industry for eight years, people would ask, you know, how do I get in? I've got all these ideas and all this stuff. And the thing is, the industry is full of people with ideas. It's the actual follow through that's a real pain in the ass. Like, becoming a game designer, a lot of people would go and start working on game designs and things like that, and they wouldn't realize, like, entry-level game designer, your life exists of, like, literally just, like, thousands and thousands of lines of XML and dealing with systems that don't work properly, and nothing ever works, and you have to follow all the instructions of somebody else. It's just... That's why I became an engineer. And you don't have the money to pay people. Well, you can always try, you know, if you're not going to make computer games, you can make other kinds of games. And a lot of people will, you know, like, roll your own kind of tabletop adventure and get some people to play it, and then you can usually kickstart those and get those out the door a lot on different budgets. Like, make a card game for something. Then all you need is to, you know, get enough orders for sending out an order to the printers to get real nice cards, stuff like that. Alright, so this area is set up. Unemployment is looking okay. No real requests. Do we not have any types of goods? We don't have any linen. So is there just no way to deal with linen? I mean, we're going to need linen. But why don't we solve it kind of one thing at a time? We're going to need papyrus. Where are we going to import papyrus from? It looks like papyrus is from water trade routes. Yeah, linen, papyrus, all that is water trade route. Alright. Which is not good for us. Let's get our storage yard up here. Linen and papyrus. Half of that and half papyrus. And these guys are going to need, like... I don't think I'm going to advance them past a certain spot. These guys are going to need to be entertained. So let's start making our entertainment buildings. Where should we do that? Over here wouldn't be too bad. Design a game that after speaking with several people, discovered your startup cost to work with sellable data a few million. Well, that's just like... I mean, that's pretty low for game development cost, actually. Like, if you actually paid people what they're worth, you know, like, we're talking about, you know, like 6 figures per person per year. It is not cheap to do game development. And especially if you're funding it somehow, like, not gonna happen. You know, find a publisher. Alright, so we need entertainment buildings. Conservatory. Juggler School. I don't really like the setup over here, but we'll fix it later if we have to. Alright, so we want that, and we want a pavilion out here too. Like so. And why not one over here, because we can. Design something smaller to make the first... yeah. Well, that's kind of also the thing, is like, games are so hit and miss that, you know, either they sell well or they don't, and a lot of that has to do with things that are completely outside of your company's control. Like, you know, if you're making a product, like, you're making a better mousetrap or something else, like, that's one thing. You know, you're going to be able to sell a certain number of units of something. But with games, it's like, if it comes out and somebody else comes out with something at the same time, pretty much screwed. Or, you know, maybe that genre was just not super popular at the time, or somebody writes a bad review of your game for no real reason other than they were confused by the controls. And all of a sudden, you don't have any money. And it may be that you have an amazing game and everything was working properly and you did everything right, and then nothing. Learning Python for game development. Well, the only games that I know that have Python in their actual working thing would be more like online games, like EVE Online has got their backend in Python. But Python's pretty much only used in tools development, tools and scripting, and much more in terms of, you know, like actual server work in DevOps. I don't think I've ever seen a sit-down game written in Python. And these scorpions are just... I need some police. 1,000 grain. Alright. Let's see, do we have grain in any storage yards? I don't think so. Let's make one. Let's make it a little bit more central than this trash over here. Yeah, let's just pop one down right there. Green. Let's just fill it up. Kriya uses Python? I'm not familiar with Kriya. A good chunk of it is C++. Well, yeah, if you're gonna use... Also, welcome, Sinacron. Sorry I'm not actually working on the game right now. You know, just building an empire. Alright, our unemployment's gonna go real bad, isn't it? Alright, so they need grain. Can we provide it? No. Ah, we will be able to provide it very shortly. That's a bad inundation that came in. Yeah, broken heart. I'm sorry, Sinacron, we'll get back to it. Alright, I've dispatched the grain. Our population just went up, so yeah, the gods are all pissed at us. They're a bunch of angry people. So we need more shrines. So let's do so. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 of each should do it. And we'll throw some out here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Very good. A distant battle. Alert your soldiers for an infantry army is engaged in distant city at Timna. Requires your aid. Alright, let's see. How big? A small force. Let's just send them off. Salute. Get out of here, soldiers. Yeah, I would definitely recommend Commander Darktree for learning C++ development, if possible, early on. We started off in college learning C. And the reason for that was to, it was the same reason why they didn't let us use Visual Studio for the first year. You had to use, for the first year in college, your game had to compile in, like, GCC, oh no, Plague of Frogs. Son of a bitch. Let's save it. Your game had to compile in GCC, Borland, and Visual Studio. Where are the frogs coming from? Oh god, they're coming from the rivers. Son of a bitch. Goddamn frogs. So I learned this last map, but the frogs live in the houses instead of the people. So this house is infested with frogs, so nobody lives here anymore. It's just like the frogs come in. I imagine the frogs got like their top hats on, and they're just like, I live in this manor. I'm like, son of a bitch, get out of here, frogs. I'm like, no. And then you have to like fill out the paperwork and just be like, you're not a person, you're a frog. Get the hell out of my house. Yeah, it's not good. But yeah, the big thing for learning, like, I know there's a lot of elitists out there who are like, oh man, you should learn, Java's not a real language, you should learn C++. C++ isn't a real low-level language, you should learn C. C's not a real low-level language, you should learn assembly. Assembly is not a low-level language, you should stick your tongue in a socket and learn how to program by electrocuting yourself to death. Yeah. Assembly's too high level. Give me a breadboard and some wires. Let's do this. Yeah, we're having problems with food, aren't we? But I would definitely recommend. Yeah, we're gonna run out of folks here. Well, let's turn off pottery or something like that. Maybe that'll give us the people we need. Industry is off. I don't know. Can you see breakdowns of industries? I'll just turn it off for a second and see what that does. Yeah, that saved us a whole bunch of time. Write a game in microcode? Yeah, good luck. I think the only game that really was surprisingly written in something like assembly was Roller Coaster Tycoon. But I would definitely recommend trying to start off with some stuff in C and C++ just because you'll learn the memory management stuff that you're not going to learn in Python or other high-level languages. Once you kind of get that, you can write inside of C++, then just get the hell out of it if you're not going to use it, because there's no sense in using a language when you don't need it. If you're not doing something insane, then you're not going to need the C++ optimizations, and just sitting around waiting for crap to compile is just not fun. Write it in thumb. I don't even know what the hell thumb is, so you got me on that one, Synachron. You don't know what would be good for games you want to make. Well, games that run on servers, usually you're going to want, if it's an online game, you're going to want either C# or Java for actual servers. For game servers, like if you're running, Modern Warfare 2 or something like that, that's all C++ because the server has to simulate all the animations and all the actions on just like the game does, so it needs to be super fast. Versus Java, C#, or Python, where you want your services to be more reliable. And a lot of stuff with C++ is when C++ crashes, it crashes and takes the whole program with it. When like Java, C#, Python crash, there's a lot of other levels of crashing. I think it was when Reddit switched over some of its stuff to C. They had a pretty funny story where they had like, well, I think they had Java services or something else. They're like, well, when our previous services had infinite loop in it, it would just like sit there and burn a processor, and our services would keep running, and we could just page the guy on call, and everything would still kind of work. Like, well, we switched our servers over to C, and all of a sudden, when an infinite loop happened in our logic, it would just burn a hole in the floor and take down the entire server cluster. The entire server was toast, and services would become unoperational. Not even the reporting and monitoring stuff would work properly. So they basically just like, crap. Instead of smoldering and catching on fire, it just exploded. Alright, so what do these guys want? They want unoccupied musicians. Alright, supplies of beer need to be provided to these citizens. Alright, so we will throw like a storage yard over here, which will have half beer and half pottery. And we'll have it get it. These guys are just unoccupied. Yeah, we're getting people back into our area. And we're gonna need pottery. Oh, Jesus, pottery's done. We need to turn that industry back the hell on. Alright, we have plenty of beer. The beer needs to be snagged, fetched, and given to our citizens. So let's make sure. Let's just get 2 storage yards. We're gonna need it. Fetch more stuff. These people are gonna need to fetch stuff anyway. So we should actually be fetching also luxury goods, papyrus, and we'll need to fetch linen as well. So we'll get fetch linen, fetch something else. What else are we gonna need to fetch? Well, we'll just leave it at that. Need that wild one, sleep one? Yeah, that's true, Sonicron. So you have clients at their homes, they have a 3D editor in their end, and they use stuff to make stuff in the game world using physical properties of the materials. The editor sends the design to the physics server along with the clients. Usage. Alright, so you're creating things, sending that to the server where everything actually gets processed. Well, in that case, to be honest, Python is an excellent choice for learning, because Python would be very good for servers like that, for reliability. And you'd also, if you're going to be doing physics, yeah, the physics server is connected to the game server, which actually hosts the game. If you're going to be doing anything with physics, you're going to need C++ and more efficient stuff to do that. Python would be really good for a lot of the server infrastructure, communications, and management of maybe C++ processes that are children that actually do the heavy lifting of your physics and all that. And the client, if the servers are doing all the work, then the client doesn't have to be super amazing at everything. So you might be able to get away with a simpler system for that client. So that would be maybe C# or something like that for the client, depending upon what operating systems you want to target for. Because even though C# doesn't currently work on, like, you know, non-Windows machines, I think what Microsoft is working on some new stuff that's going to come out that's really going to support that on everything. So I think something like C# would be a very good language for the client. Or you could just use a game engine for the client and not worry about it. You know, use something like Unity for the game engine, and then, you know, write the servers yourself. And you could have like C# servers too. That actually might work for your physics as well, because you could tie in pretty nicely. Oh, it depends. Doing everything, doing it all passively to work out what might happen ahead of time. Well, it sounds like a computational problem to solve, with lots of interesting things to work on there. Let's take a look at our tomb. Can't really see much of it from this angle. The tomb's coming along slowly. Yeah, it also depends on how in-depth you want all this. Okay, so we need a scribal school or a library. So let's start importing papyrus. Let's import to maintain like 2,000 papyrus. Let's also import linen to import, yeah, like 2,000 of that. We're gonna try to make one nice area. I'm surprised these guys are getting all leveled up. I kind of don't want them to be, but we'll let them do what they want. We had like 5,000 people at one point. Those damn frogs came in, and screwed up all of our places. Frogs. Yeah, well, doing a bunch of heady calculations on servers, infrastructure like that is a very expensive thing to do. I don't know how to do that. Well, it reminds me about the scale of those things. Like, if you need actual, like, high-performance server stuff, $1440p ultra-wide, are you talking about, like, is a higher resolution monitor going to help you out with coding? For me, it's not about the resolution with a monitor, it's just about how big the damn thing is physically in the world. Because the only limitation I've ever really run into is just reading the damn text on the screen. Alright, so we're getting paper, we're getting all this sort of stuff. We're going to need a scribal school and a library in here. Can we fit both? Like scribal school, library. Library will fit. Alright, that's pretty awesome actually. So that'll fit. No, we need 500 papyrus. For instance, for coding, what I've used for the past like 8 years, since I actually got a little bit of money the first year out of college, the first thing I bought were two 30-inch, not widescreen 30-inch, but like regular 4x3 30-inch monitors. And I've always had two big 30-inch monitors on either side. And then I usually have at least two other monitors on the sides of those. And when I was doing server work, I had 6 monitors hooked up because I just needed all that, especially when we were doing Dragon Age Legends, where we had just tons of complicated crap all over the place. I just needed more room. to put stuff on screen, and I needed more monitors to do it because Windows didn't really work very well. It was like I need the whole monitor to have like some dashboard. Alright, 700 paint. We've got it. Send it. What made it so complicated? I made it so complicated. Alright, these guys are starting to level up even more down here. Alright, the desirability of this area needs to improve. Well, let's slap down some large statues. Yeah, so Dragon Age Legends, basically, that game, when it started, like, Dragon Age Journeys was the game that had come out before by EA2D. It's just bad codes? Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, so Dragon Age Journeys came out as a Flash game, and so for Dragon Age Legends, the idea was like, okay, social games are getting real big. We got 11% unemployment. Let me just fix some of these problems with our city real quick. Looks like I have plenty of clay. It looks like I just need more potters. Alright, so let's build a pottery area down here. Firehouse, architect pose. So, it started out with only 2 people working on the stuff for Dragon Age Legends. At least two workers. We had, a producer and a designer. We had Soren Johnson as our designer. He's the guy who was the biggest influence behind Civ 4. He made, like, more recently, Interstellar Trading Company or whatever that game. So he was our designer guy, and it was me and one other guy, and we were supposed to make a game, and both of us were right out of college. So, we didn't know what the hell I was doing. We had one server guy, which was me, who was writing a server. Like, all my training at college was C++, so they interviewed me for C++, and I show up, and they're like, alright, you're writing the servers in Java, and I'm like, I've never written anything in Java. And they're like, that's cool, here's your desk. It's, you're going to be sharing your desk with this other guy, and you're also sharing your cube with the other guy, and it's 2 people, and I'm sure you'll do just fine making this game. That game hates me, Off-Planet Trading Company. That game hates everybody. Actually, it's a pretty cool game. I recommend it. It's nice to actually sit down and play some of those. Alright, let's just throw a frickin' fort over in the middle of this area. Just right there, why not? So the cool thing about working with 2 people for this game, Dragon Age Legends, was that we actually made progress. Like, we were right out of college, and one of the good things about programmers who are not experienced at programming is they don't know what they can't do, so sometimes they do things that you would not expect them to be able to do because they don't get intimidated, they don't complicate crap, they don't do any of that, they just get their work done. So we actually had a bit of an advantage there in some respects. Oh, can we get a dock? Yeah, let's just get a dock over here. Can we get 2 docks? Only 1 dock. And we'll see if you can do it. But the big problem... Ooh, interesting. They will give us oil? Yeah, just go ahead and we'll take it. I keep getting distracted by this game when I'm trying to talk about random crap. But yeah, so it was 2 people working on this project, and what happened over the next 6 months is we went from 2 people working on Dragon Age Legends to 30 people working on Dragon Age Legends because we showed progress in the game and people were more excited about it and all that. So what started as, you know, basically a couple guys just hacking stuff together who had no idea what the hell they were doing, I would argue that I knew the least about what I was doing. So I was making lots of mistakes. Everything was awful and all that. But we made progress, and so these other guys were on these other teams brought onto our team. And they had been building all their architecture and all their cool stuff the way they wanted to. And as a result of them developing more proper architecture, they had been developing stuff slower. So they were justifiably salty when they had to work on our project, and the only reason we were doing better than they were, basically, is because we screwed everything up and didn't give a damn, and we're gonna have to pay the price later. So basically what happened with that is we just had really awful architecture. And the reason was because I would argue mainly because of the server engineer, me, created a whole bunch of problems. We also, the game developer also was very new and made tons of errors as well. But the far-reaching effects are really the server stuff, because once those servers get written, they have to be maintained, and they're not going anywhere. It just gets worse. And if you ever work on something with 2 people writing coding stuff, and then all of a sudden you have to have a whole team of 40, you're totally screwed. It doesn't matter who is writing what. When you write code for 40 people to work on, you write it you write it in a very different way than just a couple people, you know, jamming on a keyboard. Pharaoh needs 600 booze. We will give him 600 booze. But yeah, so it was incredibly complicated architecture because it was the first architecture that I'd ever put together. So I emphasized speed for everything over reliability because I was used to doing client-side game development. So, you know, I spent all this time writing like lockless queues, multi-threading crap, and, you know, making operations go off onto, you know, I would make a service cluster of like 4 or 5 different machines that all work together to do their job the best, as opposed to just writing one damn server that just worked properly and was easy to work with. Because modern game development with servers is not about making a super optimal thing. It's about making something that scales properly. And it's better to deal with nice units that you could just plug in, even if they're less efficient. If you can plug in more of them, it's easier to deal with, you know, standard boxes. You just be like, bam, you know, okay, we have 2 times more capacity, or we have another 3,000 people right here. It's better just to make it easy to scale up and down than it is to make one server. It's like I spent all, you know, this whole month, and I made it so our boxes can, you know, get 10% more people. That's not what you want all the time. In a lot of this, if your game is successful, you just want to plug in more boxes, get more people, and then once you have the cash flow, then you can make the business case to, you know, like people. You're like, I need another 2 engineers, and all they're going to do is do cost savings, because we have these servers, but we have, you know, 100,000 people playing the game. We just need to make the servers that much more efficient. Right now we're losing, you know, $50,000 a month. We can hire people. They'll cost us $10,000 a month, and as a result, we'll make $40,000 per month for the next year. Give me 2 heads, and you know, that's real easy in the business world to do that. So a lot of the game development actually comes down to proper implementation of that sort of strategy. Alright, people are pissed there aren't enough jobs. Oh god, I've been talking about jobs, and I've let this game get away from me. Alright, so we need more workers. We need more food, probably. So let's just slap down a whole bunch of work camps and not worry about it. 6, 7, 8. So would I hire a new graduate or a university co-op? We had incredible success with interns with game development at EA. And these were not cheap, crappy internship positions for slave labor. These were like, you know, here's a $36 an hour. Hire all the Egyptians to code. These were $36 an hour, really good internships. Like, if you were good, you know, we hired you. In fact, some people who were interns got, you know, $36 an hour as an intern there over the summer, and then like would go back to college, and Electronic Arts would actually pay for their college, and then guarantee them a job, you know, the year after when they graduate. And some people who were interns got that on our team and came back. And so what I really liked was having people come in as interns, because kind of for game developers, it's really just important that you don't always need the smartest guy in the room to get a game shipped. A lot of the times you just need the guy who shows up and is enthusiastic and does his job. It doesn't really matter that they always do their job perfectly, it matters that they just do their job to the best of their ability. So I would definitely hire somebody out of college, but the problem is firing somebody is incredibly difficult. So having college people come in as interns, you know, they're going to be gone in 6 months if they're not very good. So you can... And they're also much more teachable. You know, you can tell somebody who's graduated from college, you can say like, hey man, like, you got some growing up to do. And they will accept the, you know, the feedback without being jerks about it. Because, well, they probably do have some growing up to do. Alright, so we need to start importing some food. So let's import lettuce. And let's import figs. And let's go make sure our granaries aren't filling up with that. And we're also going to have to go around all our bazaars and not mess with that. So if I had a company, would I hire college kids? If I was a small company, no. I don't think I would. I think I would rather use my network of contacts in the industry and hire people who have reputations that I can vet and all that. Alright, so these granaries should get all the goodies, basically. Actually, why don't we just accept all. Get half on all these. If I was a medium-sized company, I would definitely start getting more college and all that. And I would bring them on as interns and see how they did there. Alright, so that'll start filling up with the food nicely. Excellent. If I was a large company, I would always make sure that I had people on the team that were right out of college. That's why you hire somebody, you have it in their contract, they can be fired at any time. Well, in the States at least, like, a lot of the time you'll be, you know, under what's called at-will employment, where your boss can fire you at any time for any reason without telling, or whatever, you know. The problem is, when you're a large company, you can't just go about firing people. It hurts the reputation of your company and all that. And it's also very difficult to know if somebody is actually underperforming because